This afternoon, we were thrilled to hear of the way the good news has prospered in the countries of Africa. This evening, we begin our session with some more intimate glimpses of theocratic activity on that continent. First, from Algeria, Brother Arbole reports in French, followed by an English translation.
L'année dernière, le jeune groupe d'Oran comprenait 14 proclamateurs. Le placement des périodiques constituait un point particulièrement faible, la moyenne n'étant que de 6 périodiques par proclamateur. Pour y remédier, nous avons organisé régulièrement et convenablement la journée des périodiques. À cette occasion, plusieurs personnes de bonne volonté ont pu faire leur premier pas dans le service. De ce fait, les proclamateurs étaient plus nombreux et la quote-part fixée par la société était dépassée. Après quelques mois d'activité croissante, nous arrivons au mois d'avril de cette année 1958 pour constater le résultat que voici. Le nombre de 14 proclamateurs était passé à 26. Le nombre de 145 heures de service était passé à 234. Et enfin, le nombre de 42 périodiques pour avril 1957 était passé à 1095, soit 42 de moyenne par proclamateur.
Here is the translation. Last year, the young congregation of Oran had only 14 publishers. To remedy this, we organized a regular magazine day. This was an opportunity for some persons of goodwill to take their first step in the field. Now they have many more publishers and are above the quota fixed by the society. After the next few months of growing activity, we came to April of this year, and here are the results. The 15 publishers have become 26. 145 hours of service became 234. 42 magazines for April 1957 have become 1,095, an average of 42 magazines a publisher. From the West African territory of Cameroon, District Servant Brother M. Penda reports.
In my visiting the congregation as circuit servant, I was serving an isolated group. I asked them to go out in preaching from house to house. I was accompanied by one brother that I was training. At one home, we meet a peasant and present the message to her. It was a lady who was left to guard the shop as her husband, and to who told us that her husband was absent. The lady permitted us to speak with her, after which she asked us to call again. When we got back again, her husband was still absent, but she did a better thing. She told other persons of her friends to come and hear what Jehovah's Witness had to say. Among the people that were present was a man who was very anxious to pose questions concerning different Bible doctrines, and in particular on the intermediate through whom prayer must pass to God. Underlining thus the importance he put on Mary and the saints. He asked also the meaning of the church, how one must go there, how one can support it and deal with it. We were happy to hear that question and see pleasure we give him some remarks and place with him the booklet, God's Way is Love, and promise to pay call the next day. The man, after reading this booklet, come and meet with us the same evening and meet in one meeting that was arranged to that night, and asked me to remember the promise to him, to call back to him again. The next day, when I went and called on him, I met him at that time, very interesting, because all his dupes on certain point were gone. The visit was indeed transformed into a Bible study in his home. I just recently visited again that place, and my surprise was great when I saw that that man is now going from door to door preaching the word.
Missionary H. Ward reports from Eritrea, bordering the Red Sea.
Salam ta kab Eritreawe ahwat kun, which in Tigrinya means greetings from your Eritrean brothers. It was after serving for almost 6 years in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, when poor health forced me into a lower altitude, that my wife and I requested and received a missionary assignment to this small African territory, which at the time had no organization of Jehovah's Witnesses whatsoever. Among the problems that confronted us, in addition to poor health, were new languages to learn and no literature, no, not even a complete Bible in the native language with which to work. In March of this year, however, our Eritrean brothers were overjoyed with the release of the Watchtower in their own native tongue. Though we must handwrite each and every page in a complicated native language which has an alphabet of over 300 oddly shaped characters, and then mimeograph and hand staple each individual copy of the magazine, it has proved well worth the time and effort. Through trials and hardships, hard work and discouragements, arrests of new brothers, and orders for us to leave the country, after 2 full years, we are grateful that we are still able to remain and work in this territory, and that we now have publishers reporting from 4 small congregations in Eritrea. But the need is still great for more workers to reach the country's 1 million inhabitants, and it is our hope that some of you will be able to answer the call to serve where the need is great, perhaps even in Eritrea in northern Ethiopia.
The first new publications for the African field to be released tonight are This Good News of the Kingdom and tracts 1, 5, and 11 in Tigrinya. Brother Ward, we hope you will use many of these in Eritrea. Kenya is a country which excites our imagination. Sister Mary Whittington reports from that part of Africa.
Kenya is represented for the first time at a World Assembly of Jehovah's Witnesses. 3 of us are here as delegates to share with our brothers the blessings of the Divine Will Assembly. Just over 2 years ago, such a prospect might have been considered as too good to be true. Since there were only 4 publishers active in the service then, but Jehovah has so abundantly blessed his ministers in Kenya that in April of this year, the report showed an all-time peak of no less than 34 publishers filling the divine will by preaching the good news in that territory. These 34 brothers are very happy to send with their 3 delegates their love and greetings to all their brothers assembled at the Yankee Stadium and the Polo Ground by Jehovah's will and undeserved kindness. This wonderful increase has resulted from the consistent Bible study activity, by means of which so many of the truth-hungry sheep have been found and fed. So readily have they shown their appreciation of the divine will that there are now 30 dedicated servants of Jehovah praising him in Kenya. Although we have seen our efforts blessed with increase, Kenya is still a country where the need is great. A warm welcome awaits those brothers who can answer the call.
A special pioneer brother, Brother S. Romano, tells us something of the work in Libya.
The brothers in Libya have asked me to convey their greetings who are present at this assembly. They are now working under very difficult conditions due to the persecutions from the police and the government. Sometimes the police abuse their authority, even arresting a brother while walking on the street and later releasing him without any explanation. Our branch in Italy has intervened, and our case is now up before the Supreme Court of Libya, where we are now fighting for our right to worship God. Especially now, the field is growing larger and larger as thousands of English and Americans in military service are arriving in Libya with their families. This calls for extensive work, and only a few of our brothers speak English. These English-speaking people in Libya are welcoming Jehovah's Witnesses. Many of them are marveled and say, Jehovah's Witnesses, even here, one American lady studying for the first time with a special pioneer said to him, with you, I have learned the way of life for me and my children. A few days later, she wrote a 16-page letter to her Catholic priest in America, summarizing from the book, Let God Be True, the chapter, The Congregation of God. Another American lady, suffering from nervous diseases, visited by his brother, having been uprooted by his birth, said to him, please come again, my husband and I need you. So it can be seen that the need is great in Libya for English-speaking brothers to aid not only to preach to these arriving regularly in Libya, but also to help our brothers to grow to maturity. We pray Jehovah to send to Libya more workers.
Brother A. Mapambana is a member of the Bethel family in Nyasaland. He reports on the adjoining territory of Portuguese East Africa.
Portuguese East Africa is a Catholic-dominated country, and there you are, you can understand why the work of our brothers is undertaken with much difficulty. In order to continue our ministry, we have gone underground in all features of service. Meetings are held in homes, household work is undertaken cautiously, literature is smuggled into the country, and the semi-annual visit of the Sacred Seven becomes that of a visiting relative. Recently, the branch office in Nyasaland quietly asked some of the special pioneers working there if they were willing to serve where the need was great, namely in Portuguese East Africa doing underground work. Some approached, and these brothers were then placed in strategic locations near the border to help organize all the interest and search for new. By being close to the border, if trouble starts, they are able to slip back into their native Nyasaland thus avoiding arrest. This arrangement has been richly blessed by Jehovah, for in one location, a new congregation has been organized during the year, and 36 publishers are reporting along with the 3 special pioneers working in that area. We are thankful for the rich increase Jehovah has granted, but we are more concerned with the prospects for expansion in the future. Would you like to share in our reaching gathering? Then come with us to Portuguese East Africa and serve where the need is great.
From the South Atlantic island of St. Helena, Brother G.W. Scipio brings this report.
"25 years ago, in the lonely island of St. Helena, the last prison house of the great Emperor Napoleon, the truth took root in good soil. 2 pioneers of the Watchtower Society from South Africa, paying us a brief visit, had time enough to leave many publications. Those hungering for the truth began to learn new things through their study, started preaching them in their religion, were thrown out, and so began what was called a new religion. This new religion continued and remained struggling through until a special pioneer from South Africa was assigned to assist us in 1951. The results since have shown that even in a confined and isolated spot as St. Helena, true worship can expand. Whereas 8 years ago, we were only 12 publishers. Last April, we reached a peak of 48, an increase of 400%. When you consider that average for a population of 4,700, rather better than one publisher per 100 of the population on an island of 47 square miles, with about 20 homes to each publisher, of which 2 are pioneers, one might easily conclude that the work must be about finished there. But not so. Studies are still being conducted in more than 30 homes. The truth continuously being sounded in the ears of the people does bring result, one way or the other. One woman told how she used to listen to a study being conducted in a room next to hers, and was really impressed. But not until she appreciated that Armageddon was near and that only Jehovah's Witnesses were in the ark did she start to study herself, and now she has begun to witness. 2 of us have had to sacrifice 6 months of our time away from home to attend this great assembly. But we feel it's worth even more. And with us, we bring the warm love and greetings of our brothers to all of you assembled and to those you represent.
Senegal is part of the vast territory of French West Africa, and you will be interested to hear something from that part of Africa.
I have the privilege to preach the good news since 3 years in Senegal, a part of West French Africa. The majority of these people are Muslim, and their spiritual condition is very low. We don't have much opposition with this religion, only indifference. They find that what we preach is good, and that's all. They don't believe anything about the new world, because they are sure to go directly to heaven. That's our territory, a hard one. But we continue to preach, and we were able to find some people of goodwill, but we're not among the native colored people, only among French, Portuguese, and half-bred people. Now, in Dakar, we have a small congregation, small but with a good spirit. Since we began our work in Dakar, 18 persons were baptized. Here is the last experience we had. About 10 months ago, a brother came to the meeting with a seaman of the French Navy. who was a strong Catholic. This man came with the prime purpose to show us that our preaching was not the truth, and that he had something new for us, so he said. After the meeting, we had a fine discussion with the Bible. This man tried to make some quotation from the Bible to support the Catholic doctrine, but of course, without success. His light was very poor. He came again and again to our meetings, but with a better spirit. His Catholic light was out completely. In short, some weeks later, he understood many things, especially that he found the truth. He progressed very fast and began to preach among his fellows. Now he is preaching with us, and we had the great joy to baptize him last month.